want to do a short video on finding the zeros of a function or solving an equation numerically. I know this is probably something that you already know how to do, but just for the sake of completeness, I'm going to use this function as my example. So I have x cubed minus 8x minus 7, and I can look at the graph here, and I can see graphically that I have 1, 2, 3 x-intercepts. So those are the zeros of the function. And I'll go through finding one of them. I'm going to do second, then calc, and I'm going to calculate a 0. And the calculator asks me for a left bound and a right bound. And what I want to do is I want to move my cursor. You can see that as I use the left and right arrows, it adjusts the x value and it traces that function. And so I can see that my 0 here is somewhere around 3, a little bit more than 3. So I can kind of watch my x value, and you notice that I can't see the cursor now, but I can watch the x value and get it close to 3, and when it does get close to 3, I should see my cursor show up. Alright, so the left bound needs to be to the left of where I can see the 0 is, and in this case my graph, the function moves from sort of left to right as it moves up and across the x-intercept. So that's my left bound there, and you'll see that I have a little arrow there now showing where the left bound is located. And then it asks for a right bound, and I'm going to put it to the right of where I know my 0 is. So I have a left and a right bound now. And also one thing that I didn't notice earlier, or didn't mention earlier, was I have to make sure that I'm using the correct function. If I have more than one function put into my calculator, I can use the up and down arrows to kind of scroll through those different functions and make sure that I'm on the appropriate one that I want to find the 0 for. It now asks me for a guess, so I get my cursor as close as I can. Really all that matters is that my guess is in between my left and right bounds, and then I hit enter, and there's my 0. Alright, so I have 3.1925. One other thing that I'd like to point out is if I want to use this 0 either now or at a later time, if I leave the cursor where it is and I quit out, the x value remains the same as it was when it found that 0 for me. Right? So I can either have that and I can copy it and paste into some other equation that I might want to use, or I can store that into, use alpha a, I can store that into variable a, and then if I want to use it at a later date or a later time, I can type it in there and get it back. The same is true for the y value. That's the this is essentially a 0, so the calculator is a rounding error giving me some tiny decimal answer, but I could save that or do whatever I needed to do to that to use it at a later date as well.